Welcome to Wilderness and the Toes River. It's a fairly chilly Toes River. I'm a couple of 100 meters up from the campsite where we're going to be hosting Torpedo Wild and the easy alternative that we've launched this year, Torpedo Flow. If you look behind me, you can just see this absolutely magical nature that the race travels through. So this is the Toes River, the Ebb and Flow North campsite just behind the trees here. And it's really this natural environment that we're in that makes this race so special. I'd like to also just especially thank all of you for coming up and taking the trip and joining us here. I trust all of you will have an absolutely brilliant race and travel safe. And I hope you find this route briefing useful. And I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers. Starting with the Torpedo Wild and Torpedo Flow Prologue. So the route and the times for both the Flow and the Wild for the Prologue on Friday the 13th are the same. So we are at Ebb and Flow Northside campsite. To get access to Ebb and Flow, you can show the guards at the gate your phone with the Torpedo email or the Torpedo website. They'll give you free access into Ebb and Flow, and we are at the Northside campsite this year. So that those of you that raced last year, we were in the south, so we are on the other side of the bridge this year. Athletes can arrive from 12 o'clock onwards. So included in your entry is camping for both yourself and your friends and family. So you can come from 12 o'clock and set up camp on Friday the 13th. Registration will open at 2 o'clock. It will be open till 4:30. And then the Prologue start window is from 4 to 4:30. So there's a 30-minute start window that you can start in. There are no allocated times. You can start any time in that half an hour window. At registration, you're going to be issued with a Moby timing band. And to start your Prologue, you tap yourself into the course. You race the 6Ks, and at the finish, you tap yourself out of the Prologue. The times do count for those doing Torpedo Wilderness. The times do count towards your overall time. If you are unable to make the Prologue, that's fine. You will just be allocated the time of the slowest team. So you still will be in GC for Torpedo Wilderness, but you unfortunately get the time of the slowest team. So the Prologue, time window from 4 to 4:30. There's a cutoff at 6:30, and then we've got from our friends at S&D Productions, we've got a live band and a food truck that will be here at the campsite from then onwards. So just a look at the route itself. This is a track of last year's route. So if we just disregard the bottom section, this is the south side campsite where we started last year. So this year we are starting in the north. So the Prologue, it's still 6Ks. It's going to start with a very short run, 100-meter run into a slipway in the river. So from our campsites, from the start ramp, 100-meter run up, and then a swim back past the start ramp all the way to just before the bridge. And just a note before I go any further, the routes are completely marked. So on the runs, the routes are marked, and at the start and at the finish of every swim, there's a torpedo flag. So you can only enter the water at a yellow torpedo flag, and you can only exit the water at a yellow torpedo flag. In between those flags, you have to stay within the banks of the river. And then on the runs, the run is marked, and you have to follow the route marking. At registration and just before you start, there will be examples of the route marking to see what sort of signage you're following. So after that opening run, the swim, you exit the water. It'll be quite a tricky exit just before the bridge. From this point onwards, you follow last year's route exactly. You run across the bridge. There will be marshals on the bridge. There will be a marshal telling you to take this path on the far side. It's a lovely single track path in the dense indigenous forest. It brings you past the campsite. You'll be on the opposite bank. It takes you all the way up the Toes River to the pond crossing. It's just about the 2 kilometer mark. You don't need to cross the river on the barge, although you're welcome to give it a go if you want. You will then run on the opposite side of the bank, same side as the campsite, up to the turn points of the course, and then you're in the river. Last year there was very heavy rains in the week of the race, and they opened up the mouth of the Toes River, and the river was extremely low. This year, thankfully, the water is a lot higher. So this whole swim here from the top back to the pond is mostly swimmable. It's slightly shallow for the first couple of 100 meters, but then it's this beautiful swim on the way back. You'll reach that same point in the course at about just over 3Ks. This is now the very hard climb of the day. So you're climbing the whole way up to the viewpoint, which overlooks the campsite. It's a really beautiful climb, single track the whole way up, an indigenous forest the whole way up, and you get to this lovely viewpoint at the top, which overlooks. You're going to look straight down on the campsite. It's a technical descent. Please watch yourselves. It's single track. It's been raining today. I'm at ebb and flow now. It's been raining, so the footing will be slightly loose. It will be slightly wet, so please watch yourself on this descent. When you get back to the river, again, you'll get back to a yellow torpedo flag. Last year, you swam downriver to the campsite. This year, when you get back to the river, you swim upriver and then finish at the campsite. And then that is the end of the 6-kilometer prologue. And there are no water points on the prologue. On to Saturday, the 14th of September, and Torpedo Wild. So the weather forecast at the moment has it in the low teens, the weather, so the air temperature is going to be pretty cool. The water in the Carmens is always generally pretty cold. It's very much in the low teens as well. It's probably 12 to 14 degrees. So wetsuits are not compulsory, but they are highly recommended. And if you opt to not wear a wetsuit, each team is required to have a space blanket between them. A good place to take the space blanket is taped to the back of your helmet. And again, helmets are compulsory from the start of Saturday to water point 1, where you can drop your helmets. So just to look at the schedule quickly. There are complimentary shuttles that depart Ebb and Flow Northside campsite at 6:30 in the morning. You can, if you've got friends and family here, you can get a lift with them to Nelson Mandela University, but it's quite a nice kiosk all on the shuttles. So I suggest that you come to Ebb and Flow North in the morning. There's complimentary coffee here, and then you hop in the shuttle at 6:30. The race starts an hour later at 7:30, so you should get to NMU at about 7 o'clock. It'll give you half an hour just to get ready. When you get on the shuttles, you must get on the shuttles in your swim run kit. So you must be in your wetsuit, in your shoes, with your yellow vest, your cap, your goggles, and you are allowed to take a small bag with you. If you want bottles or a t-shirt or so on, we will bring that kit bag back from Nelson Mandela University. We'll bring it back to the finish line. So 7:30, the race will start. If you want to look at the segments that you're going to be racing, so I'm on the Torpedo Wild website. There is segment details I'm quite close to the bottom of the website. As you scroll up, there was segment details over there. But looking at the map, so we're starting from Nelson Mandela University. It is a long run to start the route, so we call it the 7 passes runs, and that will take you through the forest, the pine plantation in Nelson Mandela University, and it will take you onto the 7 passes road. It's a very steep descent down 7 passes roads. It is a public road. The road is open. Please stay to the extreme right of the road, and just note that there are cars on the road, and please just be on the lookout. That will take you down to the Carmen's Bridge on the 7 Passes Road. So this is the start of the Swamble, which is, by all accounts, last year, it's the most scary, enjoyable, fun, there was a lot of words used to describe it, section of the race. If I can just say it very clearly, rescue is very tricky in the Carmens. If you hurt yourself, it's a very hard area to be extracted from. So I know there are a lot of you who are here to race, but please proceed through the Carmens with the most caution possible. For those of you not racing, just also stop, take a moment to look around you in the most amazing ravine. There's a handful of adventure races that use the Carmens as their routes. There's no other races that would be able to go through the Carmens. It's an extremely rugged, beautiful place to be. So just take a moment when you're in the Carmens to take a look around and appreciate it. The route from start to finish is marked. On the runs, the route is marked. At the start of every swim, there's a flag, a yellow torpedo flag, and at the end of every swim, there's a yellow torpedo flag. So on the swims, you have to stay in the water between the torpedo flags. So from the start, the route is marked all the way to the Carmens. The only exception where the route is not marked is this Carmen Swamble. It is there's no way of marking this sort of 5 kilometer section. There are infinite route options that you can take when you're in the river. You can't get lost. You're in a very deep ravine unless you won't be able to make your way up the sides of it. So the only one rule is that you have to stay within the ravine and you pick your own line. So you can be running on the bank, you can be swimming in the pools. There's all the options are yours through the map of Africa, all the way up to the N2 bridge and water point number 1. So we've put our water point number 1. There's a lovely new restaurant that's been built under the N2 bridge, and that is where water point 1 is. From water point 1, the route is marked, and you have to stick to the route marking. So just to repeat, in the green section, the Carmen Swamble, there's no route marking. You can pick your own line. From water point 1 under the N2 bridge, the route is marked, and you have to then again follow the route marking. So that's water point 1. There will be power bar, there will be Coke, and there will be water, and there will be a whole lot of sweets and bars and gels. You're then running down the dry, empty estuary mouth of the Carmen's River, and you're running to the historic Carmen's train bridge. It's a great experience to run across it. We will have 2 medics on the bridge, and the rules are that no one is allowed to run over the bridge. So everyone, they will meet you at the top as you climb up to the bridge. They will instruct you to walk from their point to the end of the bridge, and that rule applies to everyone, and it's fair for everyone, and it's just a safety point to get everyone across the bridge safely. After the Carmen's train bridge, you will run through a tunnel and across Wilderness Beach to Toes River. And sorry, I'm going to back up slightly. I'm going to back up to water point 1. Water point 1 is the helmet drop. So helmets are compulsory from the start through the Carmens. You are allowed to drop your helmet off at water point 1. We will take them back to the race village. The rules with wetsuits are that what you start with, you finish with. So if you have decided to wear a wetsuit because the water is colder in the Carmens compared to the Toes River, then you have to wear that wetsuit from the start of the race to the finish of the race. You cannot drop any equipment off at any of the water points along the route. So back to the end of the Wilderness Beach, you then cross under the N2 again, and you run across the Toes River onto the far bank. So the participants that raced last year, the route is exactly the same as last year. I'm going to swap to Google Earth just to zoom in to show you. The yellow route is us doing the recce, so excuse when we headed up to the cars to get drinks. So when you come off the Wilderness Beach onto the Toes River, this is all about sort of ankle to waist deep. So you're going to dolphin dive across here onto the boardwalk on the other side. There will be a yellow torpedo flag and a marshal at the boardwalk. You then follow the boardwalk for its entirety. So it's a really nice wooden boardwalk along the Toes River. So we are not swimming this section over here. You're going to be running along the boardwalk, and you'll get to a yellow torpedo flag and a marshal. From that point, that marshal will tell you that you're then swimming. You'll swim round the corner, and you'll get to the small train bridge. The NSRI, the team from the NSRI are manning the section. They will help you onto this train bridge. There's a ladder that you climb up onto the train bridge, and then you run along the train bridge, and you then rejoin that original original route. Apologies if it looks confusing with the yellow and and red line, but again, it's all going to be marked, and it's the same route as last year. So from the train bridge, you then get to Ferry No, and it's approximately the halfway point of the race, and that's energy point number 2. From Ferry No, there's a really fun short swim across the Toes River to the ebb and flow slipway at the far side. Then it's the longest run of the day, the Serpentine Run. It's the longest Sandparks trail. Just please be aware on the trail that there are a lot of mole hills, and it's a tricky area. There's a lot of opportunity to twist ankles, so just please be very careful running along the Serpentine Run all the way to Island Lake. You'll get to Island Lake and the Red Bull energy point number 3. So this is the start of the day's longest swim across Island Lake. It's just short of a mile, the swim. There are NSRI boats on the water that will direct you. Again, a yellow torpedo flag at the start and a yellow torpedo flag at the finish to help guide you through the swim. At the end of the swim, there are South African National Park houses with green roofs. So that's what you're heading for. So you're heading for the green roofs, and when you get closer, you'll see our torpedo flag. From there, again, it's a hot. Well, on the test routes we've done, it was always a very hot run, the Hookville Run, which brings you back towards ebb and flow. With the predicted weather forecast, it looks like you guys are going to be lucky with a slightly cooler run. I'm just going to zoom in once more when we get to this point. So you'll be running along the dirt road towards ebb and flow just before, and again it's all marked, just before you get to ebb and flow. The route marking is going to take you left off the road, same as last year, and into the Serpentine River. There's going to be a flag at the start of the Serpentine River swim. You're going to swim through the Serpentine, and you're now back at, this is the main section of river. There's the campsite. That's the where you started and finished the prologue. So you're going to swim along the Serpentine. You're going to get to the Toes River, and you're going to swim to the right up the Toes River, and you're going to swim into the finish line at ebb and flow north. So that whole route is 26 k's in total. It's a really fantastic route. Again, the highlight is the Carmens, but once again, please just be careful.